Sometimes a minimalist home can be the perfect container to a life that's being lived to the max. And that's exactly the case with this next incredible home that we're about to visit here in the UK. Hey Cairo, how are you?
Very well, brother. You good?
Very well, thank you. And I'm super excited to be here. This is such a cool house that you've created.
Thank you. Yeah, it took a while, but we finally got here.
Can you tell me first of all about what you've created here? Because it's a little bit unusual what you've done, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's quite different in terms of, it's not a tiny house, obviously. It's not a tiny house on wheels, but I was inspired by you guys and the tiny house movement and the tiny house shape and everything about it. So I wanted to incorporate that, but I didn't find, land to do it on, and I wanted to be next to a train station. So a lot of times you guys, when there's tiny houses being built, you find they're on a big open space overlooking whatever else. But people like myself, we don't often have that opportunity to do so. I still wanted to be connected to the city and whatnot. So I just wanted to find a piece of land. Luckily, my parents had a bit of land on the back of their house, and I was like, let me just see if I could build a tiny house.
Amazing. So technically this would be looked at as an annex?
Yes. Normally an annex is classed as something that is against the side of the house, but because it's within the boundaries of the land, it's an annex. I like to call it a studio personally, because annex sounds like a bit like a granny annex.
Yeah, we'll go with studio.
Yeah, we'll go with studio. Studio's fine, yeah.
I like that too. And can you talk to me about the way that you've built this?
So it's brick built. I did have an option to do it wood built, but then there was like fire restrictions with it. So because a lot of this had to be done under the boundaries of the council's rules and regulations, we couldn't really go too extravagant with the design. It had to be in keeping with the rest of the land. I wanted to put like giant like oak, like cladding down the front, but they were like, no, it has to be grey because it matches the house and stuff like that. So,
right.
So yeah, couldn't really do too much. So yeah, it's about 4.6 wide by like 9.6 long. Yeah, it's just basically a big open space with the features of a tiny house. Perfect.
And of course, one of the really beautiful things about what you've created here is the ability to stay so wonderfully connected to your family.
Yeah, it's really important to me now. It wasn't before, because the Western conditioning is that once you grow up and you leave your parents' house, you go as far away from them as possible, which is great on one hand because you develop the independence, but you're missing out on the symbiotic relationship that you get with a multi-generational living. For example, my sister's got kids, and so the fact that my sister's kids can run in and out of here and we can all get to look after them, it's really, really great. And I love my parents, and I don't want to see them getting older, but as they do, I want to be around to help in whatever way, whatever capacity that I can. And they're still young enough to help me. My dad really helps a lot with this place. But yeah, it's really important to me to be close to my family.
And I love the way that the homes are connected through this beautiful garden. You've done this really nicely.
Well, that had to be done nicely because in building this place, the whole garden just got stripped. So it had to be redone in this way. And my mum is very, very garden proud, and she loves her peacocks. So she wanted a place to put these little golden and shiny peacocks and stuff. So yeah.
And it's nice to have this space for you and your family as well.
Yeah, this is really great. So like I said, my sister's kids run in and out, and it's beautiful because I can sit there and then watch them play, and then my sister can sit there and watch them play. It's great.
Well, I absolutely love what you've done here, and I'm so excited to see inside the home. Can we take a look?
My pleasure.
Thank you very much. This place is absolutely spectacular, and you have totally nailed the minimalist aesthetic in here.
Yeah, I didn't know I was a minimalist until I lived in my own house. But yeah, I like to keep a very, very clean and clear space because it makes things easier.
And it's good for your work as well.
Yeah, so I have something called synesthesia. It's not disease, you can't catch it. But it's where I see numbers and colors and like sounds in color. And being a musician, when I'd sing and I write, I like to keep something quite bright and white, because when I'm expressing, if there's any color that's too bright or too sharp, it taints the color that I'm hearing from the notes that I'm playing, whether it be piano, guitar, or whatever else.
That is fascinating. So what color is my voice?
Your voice, just go like, give me a la.
La.
Grey and pink.
Really?
Yeah, the tone is grey and pink, because it's not just sound, it's also tone, but it's not only just color, it's dimension as well.
That is just fascinating. And I love the way that you have incorporated that into the design of your home to make the whole space more comfortable for you.
Yeah, it's almost like if there's too much color, it's almost like a sensory overload for me personally. When I go to places that do have color, I do appreciate a lot of color and a lot of vibrancy in the way they match and go together. But it's just for me personally, because this place I built to create in. and I cannot create in a place personally that is too vibrant.
And also, I love how open and uncluttered this home is.
Yeah, this is something which I wanted to really incorporate, because it's not just a space for me. This I wanted to build as a space, a communal space, because I also hold breathwork sessions here, I hold philosophy discussions here. It's not just a space for me to create, it's an everyone space. One of my criteria was it needs to be Bryceable. And obviously I made it Bryceable.
You certainly did.
You can stand up fairly easily.
Certainly can.
Yeah, so this is the reason why I wanted to brighten an open space, because it just allows people to feel and express as much as they can in this place.
And I'm honored that even though I live on the complete other side of the world, you still made a home just for me.
You are always in my considerations whenever it comes to height.
I love that. And what's going on over here?
Not much. Obviously, it's not much at all, but that's exactly what I wanted it. So it's my photography wall. When I have clients here, I do like portrait photography and lifestyle photography here, but it's also my cinema wall. So I've got a projector which projects across this whole space, and I've got the surround sound as well. So this turns into a whole cinema room.
Fantastic. How many jobs do you have exactly?
A few. Singer, nutritionist, breathwork coach, editor, photo editor, video. Yeah, there's a lot. Producer. There's too many.
Where do you even find time for all of that?
I don't, and that's the problem. I am constantly at the edge of everything, and then having to clean this house on top of it as well. It's a lot.
But it's so cool that you've also built a space that facilitates all of that so competently. And one of the design things that I love about this home is the way that you have kept the low windows to a minimal, but you've got all of these wonderful skylights that just flood the home with light.
This is great when it comes to doing stuff like filming and photography, because I'm a natural light shooter. I can shoot with studio lights, but I much prefer natural light, and because there's so much natural light in this place, you're always going to get a soft glow.
And you've got this huge bifold door as well that keeps the house wonderfully connected to the outdoors.
Yes, I had to tint them though, because there's no way I can be doing naked yoga here with all of the neighbors looking in.
I guess it depends on your neighbors, really,
Definitely doesn't it? This one over here. But yeah, so the bifold doors really do give that sense of space. Before, when the garden wasn't finished, I always had the curtains closed because I didn't want to look out onto the rubble. But as soon as the garden was done and I took the curtains away, it just doubles the space. It just doubles that whole living space. It's not a deck that I can go out on because it's England and it's cold most of the time, but it's nice to look at.
Absolutely it is. And then over here we have your kitchen. And again, this is just so beautifully done.
Thank you. This was something that was quite difficult to do actually, because most of the things in this place I was choosing whilst I was working on this TV show. So I had to pick a lot of the stuff based on internet images. Right. So I had to guess what color would go with this. And I really wanted something that would match the floor. So this was a complete guess, and somehow it kind of worked.
It's a fantastic match.
Yeah, I needed a lot of space as well, so I didn't want anything to be like too gritty. I wanted it to be like nice and plain looking to just match the floor.
Yeah, and the way that you've built in all of the seating here is really nice as well. Again, it sort of just accentuates the fact that this is designed as a communal space.
Yeah, it definitely works as a communal space. I've had like 6 to 8 people around here, which is great. Someone had to sit on the counter, but it still worked.
And obviously this is a space of somebody that loves to cook, and food is a big part of your life, isn't it?
Yeah, strangely enough, it wasn't when I first moved in. During lockdown, I somehow learned how to cook tofu, which takes a while because it's not great. But then I learned how to make that. But then when I came in here, going into deeper into like nutrition and the fitness that I absolutely love, I just wanted to make the food that I love taste better. And I just went mad, basically, and I use every single inch of space.
Absolutely. And to that end, being a lover of health and nutrition, I love that you've got the pull-up bar in the kitchen too.
Yeah, the pull-up bar is essential. And I wanted to make sure that, you know, every time I go through, just a little stretch or a little pull-up, just to keep flexible. Also, this house as well, I feel like a kid in it. I feel like Mowgli, because most places I go, I'm crawling to get somewhere or pulling up to do something. So that just added to that whole notion, I guess.
And integrating fitness and health as a cornerstone of your home design and just making it easy and accessible just makes the whole process so much simpler, doesn't it?
100%. I think that a lot of people find it hard to do fitness or do something that requires them to move outside of just sitting and whatever else, because that's what we do now. We live sedentary lifestyles.
Yeah.
And that just is a downfall, basically. It's where you get injured, it's where you get lazy, it's where you get tired. So I wanted to incorporate something where I had to like climb.
And people think of fitness as being the time that we spend jogging or the time that we spend at the gym, but really it's actually everything that we're doing all day. It's all of those little tiny things that are what adds up to make the real difference.
100%.
And loads of storage built into this space as well.
Yes, loads of storage. I've got enough space for all my food and stuff as well, so yeah, it works.
And this kind of minimalist aesthetic, it's not just show, is it? This is very much who you are. Like, it looks like you've KonMari'd your fridge.
Yeah, it needed to fit. I like everything to be neat and tidy, so that's why I slotted it in there just underneath the stairs.
Yeah, and speaking of the stair design, again, tons of storage in that space.
Yeah, there is. There's under the stairs storage there, and I've got 2 cupboards, one of which is my wardrobe and one of which is for all of my food.
And what have you actually got going on the fridge there?
So yeah, this is the only like non-minimalist part of my kitchen and it looks a mess, but this is something that I picked up, I think it was a year before lockdown actually. One of my friends had some words on the fridge and being the adolescent child that I was, I made a rude sentence out of it. But I really enjoyed the art of just putting it up. So what I did is I got my own fridge magnets, fridge words, and I started making poems every single day, and I've got over 450 of them. I have actually got a book out that's on Amazon Kindle. And yeah, I continue to do it whenever and however I can. I love it.
That is such a cool idea. And I think it's brilliant the way that you've designed the loft into this space as well, because it is so nicely connected to the rest of the home.
This was something that I actually saw when I did a gig. There was a green room that had a house that was similar, very similar to this, but it had a mezzanine that overlooked the space. And I remember sitting up there thinking, I love how it's just looking down onto the space. It just feels really open and glorious.
Yeah.
I wonder if I can incorporate that here. So I managed to do it.
Brilliant. And I especially like what you've done with the curtains there as well, because you can completely enclose it when you want.
Yeah, this was essential after gigs. Sometimes I get in at like 4 or 5 in the morning, and when it's summertime, I don't have curtains on here. So when this place is open, when the sun is up, it is bright. So I can actually close it. I've got the blackout curtains which come across there, which is great.
Yeah, and it just looks like such a comfortable space that you've created up there as well.
Comfortable for me, but it's not Bryceable, unfortunately. You will have a very hard time standing up there, but
my sleeping loft is way smaller than that.
Is it really?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I sort of go up the stairs and I bend a little bit, and then it's a Super King bed, so the whole section is just somewhere where you can just lounge. So if you go up there and bend and just flop on the bed, you'll be good.
Right, perfect.
So as well as the space that I like to relax in, I do a lot of stretching up there. I've also got a really cute spot where I like to sit underneath the window and just read.
Nice.
And it's really nice when the rain sort of like hits the window, you just sort of like there with your little book when I get time.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Amazing. And so what do we have through that door over there?
This is my studio.
Cool, can we take a look at that?
Of course.
All right. Hey, this is really cool. What a brilliant workspace you've created here.
Thank you. Yeah, it took a while to get everything how I wanted it to be, because you have to match having a bedroom or a storage space, but also have studio with the piano, but also make it dead enough that when I record vocals, it doesn't sound like it's bouncing off things like this or anything too harsh, because it can disturb the frequencies.
Yeah, and you've got all the soundproofing in here as well?
Yeah, that was actually one of my friends who just moved to Florida recently. She was just giving it all away, and I was like, I definitely need every single piece of this.
Great. And it's so nice to be able to have a dedicated work area in your home too, especially for somebody like you that creates so prolifically.
Yeah, this was sort of essential, because here is where I do the video editing, but this is where I also do the producing, and I sing for like radio stations and do like film and TV session vocals and stuff. So yeah, it's again a multi-functional space that just needed to be clean and clear, because there's too much clutter, there's too much in the way, so it just makes sense to keep it nice and neat. So yeah, I've got an EP out that I like to produce all by myself. I've got a couple of friends to help mix and master it, but yeah, everything I did by myself. It's a way that I get to express, which is great.
And you've got the couch in here as well?
Yep, this also doubles as a fold-out bed, which is great. I've had a couple of people stay around, and it's fairly comfortable. It's not the most comfortable. Again, with the room being so small, I had to find one that was like small enough to fit, and it does. I have to sort of like shunt the piano this way, but yeah, it works.
Brilliant. And you've got a bit of extra storage up here as well.
Yeah, this is where I keep all my camera gear. So yeah, there's a lot of camera gear. So there's cameras, lenses, Ronins, hard drives, and just wires.
Awesome.
So it's a very expensive cupboard.
Yeah, it certainly is. And you've got this letter up here as well.
Yeah, this was something that I'm always going to keep in every studio that I have because it was written by a little girl that unfortunately passed away back when I was signed, but she wrote a letter saying how much she liked my smile. And when I'm getting too much in my head or doing too many different things, I forget that I have a heart. It's just more head. But reading that just resets me and really brings me back to going, I do have a heart. And that when I smile from that place, that's my place of truth. So it really brings me back to my center. So wherever I go, that's coming with me.
What a beautiful reminder. And what was it that pulled you into music?
Just years of being fed it by my dad. He's a musician himself, and I grew up listening to him. He plays and sings like nobody I've ever heard before, and he introduced me to this style of music, which is Motown soul. And yeah, I picked up from there, been singing since this high, basically.
To grow up with music is such a blessing, eh?
It is one of the most essential things because any form of art, it's just expression. That's all we can do is just express ourselves. That's the only thing that we can really leave here. So if I can continue to do that and express, I'm happy.
That's true. One day this house will be somebody else's, but your music will forever be yours.
Exactly.
Yeah. And the bathroom is next door.
Yep, just across the way.
Alrighty. Oh, again, this is just lovely. The tile work in here is exquisite.
The tile work in here was what actually set the tone for the rest of the house. I bought these tiles first, and then I had to try and match the floor. And then from the floor, I had to then match the couch. So this was what it set it off first. I just went for it and I was like, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, especially having that stone aesthetic in a bathroom goes a long way to really setting up the space as almost like a kind of sanctuary.
Yeah, almost like a spa feel. I think a bathroom or a spa-room should always have the essence of, not that it should, but me personally, I like to have the essence of something that's quite spa-esque.
Yeah, bathroom is maybe the coolest word I have ever heard to describe a bathroom. That's going to be a thing now, you know that.
I hope so. I love a word sandwich.
And the bass in there as well, again, beautifully matching that aesthetic.
I really love a stone sink. I'm a big fan of a stone sink. And again, to add to that natural, earthy bathroom feel.
Great size shower in here as well.
This was essential for a couple of reasons. I've got a lot of hair, as you can see. And number one, and two, I have the wingspan of a giant pterosaur. So when
I understand both of those things.
So when I'm actually doing my hair, I need a lot of elbow room. And I find that in small showers, it's not really working. So yeah, as you can say, I like big things in a small house, like big couch, small house, big shower, small bathroom, big hair, small head.
You've got to prioritize things, don't you?
Definitely.
And it's a really interesting shower head you've got on there as well. What is that?
That is Stone Stream. I just kept getting hit with adverts for this thing. And,
Right.
and the stream that came out of it just looks really cool. Also, it's great because it filters the water as it comes through. So this area next to Dover, the White Cliffs of Dover, they're very much filled with chalk. So it's quite a hard area, but this actually filters it. So when the water comes through, it's not as hard, not hard at all. It's actually quite soft water.
Brilliant. And so how long have you been living in the home now?
About a year now, just over a year.
Great. And how's the space working out for you?
Amazingly. The functional space here is incredible for holding these breathwork sessions and such. The communal space is great to see the kids running about playing. I'm able to do my photography here. I've got my studio at the back there. And yeah, it just works perfectly. This space has enabled me to really understand what it is that I want for my own life and what I want to give back to other people. So I think the most selfless thing is to be selfish at some points, because you can't give the best of yourself unless you give the best to yourself first. Put your own mask on first, essentially, before you put on somebody else's. So basically what this house is metaphorically me putting on my own mask so that I can create the safe foundation to then give back, and the safeness to actually express those things by finding out what it is that I want first.
This is such a beautiful home that's been so wonderfully finished. Can we talk about the cost that was involved in bringing this project to life?
Yeah, so because I started to build it around the same time that the material prices skyrocketed, we did assume that it was going to be around like 40 or 50,000 to get it done, but it ended up being, just for the shell alone, about 75,000. And then I think I spent about 25 or 30 on it, just doing the finishes of stuff like, I don't know, paint, couch, studio, kitchen, this type of thing.
Yeah. For this quality of home, for this size of home and this level of finish, I think that's a remarkable result.
Yeah, it wasn't what I was expecting, because obviously when you do building work, you've just got to, well, not obviously, I realise now that you've just got to add a bit more on top of it. But it wasn't so far away from what I thought it was. And also I'm really happy that even though it's a lot of money, it's something that adds to the value of this house. It's going to go to them, and if I'm still around when my parents pass, it will come back to me. It was more of an investment, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that the home is all finished, what does the future hold for you?
A lot more creativity. Hopefully, if I get some time off to just sit and do something which I actually like, really, really want to get my teeth into. But yeah, there's loads of musical projects coming up. There's a breathwork company that I'm involved in. So yeah, there's lots of things coming.
Yeah, well, Cairo, the house that you've built is incredible, but what's even more amazing than the house is you and the incredible life that you've built for yourself. You're doing some truly amazing things in the world, and it has been a pleasure to get a little bit of insight into that. Thank you so much for sharing it with me.
Thank you so much, Bryce.
Pleasure's all mine. This home may be minimalist, but Cairo is absolutely living his life to the maximum. It absolutely blows my mind what he has already been able to squeeze into his life, and there is so much more exciting stuff for him still to come on the horizon. And what I love about this home is that it provides such a beautiful and safe space to help make all of that possible.
Do you love it? And all the things we do to one another. You don't have to tell me that you like it there. I can see it hit you differently.